This video is going to be about the KKK, and I'm sending my best man. You're going to love this one. I was working in the application development department of this corporation, and they were having a problem in the plant. They had developed this PC application, and they had sent one of the people in my group down there to install it. They called up to headquarters, to world headquarters. We were working in 401 North Michigan in Chicago, 17th floor, saying you need to send somebody down here. He's having a problem. So the director comes to my manager, John, and he says, John, you need to go down there and fix this. John turns to Larry and he says, I'm not going. We're standing there in the aisle in the office. It's in the afternoon. And then Larry turns to John and says, well, if you don't go, I'm going to have to fire you. John turns to Larry and says, no, you don't. I quit. And he walked out right on the spot. I looked at Larry. I said, Larry, I can handle this. I can fix it. Send me. So Larry goes over to the phone and he calls down there and he says, I'm sending my best man. He'll be there in the morning. So I hop on a plane. I fly to Indianapolis, Indiana in the middle of the night. It was about 10 o'clock. I get in the cab to go to the hotel, and the cab driver says, you're coming in there awful late. Where you coming from? I told him I flew into Chicago. I flew in from Chicago, and I'm going to this plant for a meeting. He said, oh, what a coincidence. I'm from Chicago too. Do you know what they call Indianapolis? They call it Nap City. But I'm going to give you a suggestion. Do not go into the suburbs of Indianapolis, Indiana. Indianapolis, Indiana, at that time, was the national headquarters for the Ku Klux Klan. And I done flew down there. And I'm fixing to go into this plant facility full of thousands of people, knowing good and well that I'm going to be around members of the KKK. I get dressed in the morning. I'm steeling myself for whatever's going to happen. You know, back then we used to wear a blue three-piece suit. We're coming from corporate. We had to represent. And so I come into the plant and I get on an elevator. And this woman, the elevator's crowded. This woman comes to me, says, can I see your ID? I looked at that lady, I said, what you want to see my ID for? She says, I don't recognize your face. I looked at her and I said, do you recognize the face of these people on this elevator? She said, no. I said, well, why aren't you asking them for their ID? As a matter of fact, I'm not giving you my ID. When you go back, tell your supervisor you did this. And we went about our business. So I met with the plant manager, and he said they were experiencing some thefts inside the plant from women's purses. Okay, fine. But what proceeded to happen next was really something. This Caucasian man had to give me a plant tour in front of the entire plant, full of the African Americans and the Caucasians, some of which were members of the Ku Klux Klan. And they had to watch this. He gave me a full plant tour. I I tried to talk to some African Americans. We couldn't because it was an assembly line and stuff flying all through the air on these belts and stuff. But you know how we do. I look at them and smile and, show that I recognize them and giving them a smile. So anyway, after the plant tour, I had to go back to the department where there was a problem. And I realized the man that was back there, he was an African American and he was gay. So it's like, okay, now what's really going on? So I had to walk in there and I had to just take control. I said, look, I'm here. Leave him alone. Let him install the system. We're going to have a meeting. Whatever problems you have, I'm going to write them down and we're going to put the system in and we're going to take this back and he's going to work on it and come back and fix it. That ended that discussion. I stepped in and had to take control under these adverse conditions. So anyway, we left that day and we went out drinking. Because I said, I didn't know what was going to happen then. I'm in this city, Ku Klux Klan. We don't know what's going to happen. We got to go back to the hotel. But fortunately, nothing happened. But I was able to go back and tell my dad about it. I gave him the whole story. And it was one of the proudest moments that my dad, I shared with my father. He was a World War II veteran. He raised me. And I told him the story, and my dad never said a thing. But he sat there with a big smile on his face. Never said a word. Never said a word. But after the story, I said, okay, Dad, I gotta get up and go. My dad jumped up off the couch and he went up to the front door. And what he did surprised me. He opened the door for me. He opened the door for me and he just smiled. He was speechless. It was a very proud moment that I was able to show my dad the man I had become. If you like this story, I have many other stories about branding. Click, like, subscribe, share, help this channel grow. Because I have plenty more stories that I want to leave as a legacy for those coming behind me. I'm Charles Davis, the Marketing Maverick. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Have a nice day.